I know it sounds really ridiculous, but I am recording this on the 5th of May, and I'm so sorry that I didn't do a proper anniversary of the Revenge of the Sith yesterday, or whatever you want to call it, of Star Wars. I'm so sorry about that. So hopefully, forgive me. I did do a short review on my shorts about my view on it. So I'm so sorry I didn't do. I completely forgot. Anyway, so I wanted to say I went to a celebration thing for VE Day, and that reminded me, what can I do for a video? Because I haven't done a proper World War this, World War that video ever on my YouTube channel. So this time I'm gonna talk about react to violins songs that are not copyrighted, or copyrighted, but they're not really copyrighted at the moment. So what do you think? Put in the comments down below, and let's get into it.
Sentimental, I couldn't bear to be alone. Our meeting was just accidental, but since that day, dear, I just can't help but say, dear, I don't mind being all alone when I'm all alone with you. You're the kind I've tried hard to find. You've made all my dreams come true. In a crowd I feel mighty proud, but if you're not there, I'm lonesome. I don't mind being all alone when I'm all alone with you.
She don't mind being all alone when she's all alone with you. You're the kind she's tried hard to find. You've made all her dreams come true.
In a crowd I feel mighty proud, but if you're not there, I'm lonesome. don't want you. Perhaps you'll think of me when your wasted years are wet with tears. You may need sympathy when nights are long and stars won't shine. Your heart may ache and break like mine when you want someone who don't want you. Perhaps you'll think of me
when you want someone who don't want you. Perhaps you'll think of me
when your wasted years are wet with tears. You may need sympathy
when nights are long and stars won't shine. Your heart may ache and break like mine when you want someone who don't want you.
Perhaps you'll think of me. See that sun in the morning peeking over the hill. I bet you're sure it always has, and sure it always will. That's how I feel about someone, how somebody feels about me. We're sure we love each other. That's the way we'll always be. Though we ain't got a bag of money, maybe we're ragged and funny, but we'll travel along, singing a song side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing our load side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they both had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing a song side by side.
Though we ain't got a barrel of money, maybe we're ragged and funny, but we travel along, singing a song side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow,
that was it. That was the end of that bit. So, I actually look the hairstyle at the moment for me. It looks like something out of World War II for some reason. Clever enough. I don't know why. I was going to say something else, but maybe we'll go there. But yeah, that was River Lynn, and now we're going on to something else. Obviously, if you didn't notice, we're going to look at, I don't know, 80th anniversary of VE Day this year, World War II, for more whatever, some kind of BBC News thing. Let's go.
Veterans come together at the Royal Albert Hall ahead of the 80th anniversary of VE Day. Now, this May marks 80 years since victory in Europe, VE Day, when the Allies defeated Nazi Germany. And ahead of the 80th anniversary, some of those who lived through and served during the war gathered at the Royal Albert Hall this morning. Our reporter Bhavani Vadi has been hearing their stories.
Exactly 80 years on from VE Day, the Royal Albert Hall will host a special performance, which will also tell the stories of those who lived through the war, like Doreen Simpson.
This is a VE Day party in the White City estate. And there's me just there poking my head out.
The 87-year-old wrote this poem about being a young evacuee.
Crying for home and the things I'd known the day they took me away on a train. The tears still flow, remembering that day they took me away on a train. Everybody should remember what our veterans went through, and also the forgotten ones are the evacuees, because we all had quite a heartbreaking time. My mum had told my brother he had to stay with me, but he was taken away by somebody else, and I was left crying because I was only 4. And this lovely lady chose me. I cannot emphasise how lucky I was.
Spontaneous celebrations broke out on the streets on Victory in Europe Day when Britain and its allies accepted Nazi Germany's surrender in World War II, ending almost 6 years of fighting in Europe. Ruth Barnwell was involved in preparing the D-Day landings when she served in the Women's Royal Naval Service, known as the Wrens. This is how she found out about the end of the war.
We had a wren, she was in the pantry, and she came out, up arms in the air, saying, "Everybody in the world's celebrating my birthday." So we said, "Are they?" Says, "Why?" And then she told us. So she'd seen it or heard it before we did. But whether she'd been on the bottle after or not, we don't know.
A younger veteran and winner of Traitors Series 2 wants to use his platform to highlight the sacrifices of the wartime generation.
I cherish every single moment I get with the veterans. I was on a date with Ruth last night, who's a 100-year-old Wren. She joined at 17 years old, and she told me everything. You and I wouldn't be stood here today in front of a Spitfire doing this talk if it wasn't for what they gave up, so it's really important.
The show will take audiences back in time to mark a historic moment and thank those who served their country. Bhavani Vadi, BBC London.
I just also come across another BBC News anniversary 80th VE Day thing. So let's go.
Again, this time as part of the commemorations to mark 80 years since VE Day. Now, the actor Timothy Spall is to recite part of Winston Churchill's victory speech from 1945 as he opens the 80th anniversary commemorations of VE Day in London tomorrow. The events will mark the beginning of 4 days of commemorations across the country, as Alice Key reports.
Tomorrow will also be Victory in Europe Day.
1945, and Winston Churchill addresses the nation. The Second World War in Europe is over. To mark 80 years since victory was declared, the actor Timothy Spall will tomorrow in Whitehall recite some of Churchill's most rousing words to start 4 days of national commemorations.
I eventually made an exit of it.
It's not the first time Timothy Spall has portrayed the wartime leader. He also played him in the film The King's Speech. The Normandy veteran Alan Kennett, who's 100, will have the honour of starting a military procession. There was a dress rehearsal for this through the streets of central London in the early hours of yesterday morning. The procession will feature more than 1,300 members of the armed forces marching down Whitehall towards Buckingham Palace. The King and Queen, veterans of the Second World War, and the Prime Minister will all be there. Sir Keir Starmer describes the 80th anniversary as a moment of national unity, a time to remember the sacrifices made by so many. 80 years ago, people took to the streets to celebrate the end of the war. Tomorrow, there will be street parties across the country. For Ruth Barnwell, a 101-year-old veteran of the Women's Royal Naval Service, it's vital to remember.
It's good that they're celebrating it and thinking of all the poor chaps and lots of women as well that lost their lives.
On Tuesday, an installation of ceramic poppies will return to the Tower of London. Hundreds of buildings across the UK will be lit up. And Wednesday will see an anniversary concert. On Thursday, a service at Westminster Abbey will begin with a national 2-minute silence. The message in the coming days: we will remember them.
Now, 4 days of commemorative events will begin tomorrow to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day. Huge crowds took to the streets in 1945 to celebrate the end of World War II, and among them was Ulla Rigg, who risked her life to save others during the Bristol Blitz. Here's Ulla's story.
Here again is the blood, the sweat and tears that Nazi warfare brings to the men, women and children of city, town and village.
And the first raid on Bristol was incredible. We stood out on the docks and all you could see was this enormous red glow in the sky. And I remember they hit the Germans, the centre of Bristol, where you had some wonderful old Tudor buildings. The damage they did was incredible. That's me, that's Eunice, and that's Margaret. We would go and visit anti-aircraft sites and balloon barrage sites and entertain them. We were all between 14, 15, 16, we're not very old. Very often we were had a real pat on the backs because the soldiers said they'd rather have the sharp spots than what Ensign was sending them, because we were young and we were full of life and vitality. So that was the sharp spots.
The end of the German war had come 11 months after the landings in Normandy. V-Day came less than a year after D-Day. But it was the end of nearly 6 years of war in Europe. No wonder people went a bit crazy.
It was wonderful. We all thought, thank God for that. And I remember being hoisted, either by ladder or something or another, up onto the top of one of those brick shelters that they built, and leading, I don't know how many people in a sing-song. And I was very merry. So that was quite something.
Ulla Rigg with her memories of VE Day. There'll be lots during the course of the next week on the programme between now and Thursday. I've spoken to an amazing veteran who fought on the Western Front and then found himself actually redeployed out to the Far East. I know Charlie's been speaking to people as well.
That was the 4th of May yesterday, that video. I'm recording this on the 5th of May, so it makes no sense what about you guys, but yeah, that was the 4th of May yesterday. And actually yesterday I went to this celebration thing for VE Day at church. It makes no nincompoop for you guys because you don't care about me that much. I mean, not all or not all the subscribers, but some subscribers haven't got a Scooby what I do in my private life. But at church we do this sort of VE Day yesterday, and it was kind of lame because it was just, for me, I can't stand loud noise and I can't stand certain stuff. I'm so sorry about the noise next door. Or outside, you can't control it. So I'm so sorry you can hear some weird equipment. No idea. But so yeah, I couldn't stand the noise in the VE Day thing yesterday. So I'm so sorry about not telling you much about that. I personally feel like it wasn't that interesting and it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I feel like watching these videos about VE Day, it's more interesting to watch than something at church about it. That's my personal opinion about it. But anyway, thank you much for watching that bit. Actually, I'll tell you about what my personal feedback for VE Day. I don't know much about VE Day. That's why I'm doing lots of research about it. And watching these videos actually reminds me about how much they suffered. And they not suffer, but they didn't eat much food because of rationings and stuff like that. And I don't know what else to say apart from thank you for saving the war. And I mean, proper war. I'm not talking about other wars that have been around recently. Those wars are important, but they're not that important than World War One and World War Two. Okay, but yeah, I feel like not much schools talk about this anymore, and it's quite worrying, And because in my school we talked about it, not a lot, but when they had an anniversary, we might have a day where you talk about World War Two or World War One stuff, and not all the time, I will say, but occasionally, if that makes sense. So, yeah, thank you much for watching this video. Hope you subscribe. If you don't know how to subscribe, well, the links in the description are down there to how to subscribe, or you can just press that like button down there or there. Can't remember where. That rhymes. Thank you much for saving our lives, even though we weren't born then. Thank you much for saving our lives. Otherwise, what's the point of evolution-wise? Well, that's another story in general, but thank you much for watching this video. Hopefully you like this video, and subscribe, notification bell, you know the drill. And I will do, the next video is probably, I say probably because I might do another video after this, but I'm not sure. The next video is probably the Electric State review. I know I should have watched that in March, and I reviewed it in March, but I didn't, so I'm going to review it now on next Saturday. Some days time when you're watching this video. So thank you much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. And I'm so sorry about not reacting that well to violin songs. I'm just not in the mood. I want to be in the mood, but sometimes you want to be in the mood for something even though you can't be because you're just so sad about people's lives through the war in VE Day and celebration in Europe. And they're knocking on a little bit. Yeah. Thank you much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.